U.S. Coast Guard is bringing in more assets in its search this afternoon for that missing sub that disappeared during an expedition to Titanic. 5 people were on board. Officials say their search for the vessel during the overnight hours was unsuccessful, and they still have not made contact with the crew on board. Coast Guard officials now estimate they have about 40 hours of breathable air left for the people inside the vessel. The U.S. Navy and Canadian Armed Forces have been searching for the sub since Sunday when it lost contact with the Polar Prince.
On behalf of all the men and women of the United States Coast Guard and our search partners, we offer our most heartfelt thoughts and prayers for the 5 crew members, their families, and their loved ones. This is a complex search effort which requires multiple agencies with subject matter expertise and specialized equipment. While the U.S. Coast Guard has assumed the role of search and rescue mission coordinator, we do not have all of the necessary expertise and equipment required in a search of this nature. The Unified Command brings that expertise and additional capability together to maximize effort in solving this very complex problem.
CNN is reporting that the people on board the vessel include a British native, a French diver, a father and son, as well as the founder of the OceanGate company, which operates the tour. The Coast Guard says a unified team is working around the clock, racing against time to find the sub. They're also flying aircrafts over the area of the water where they were last heard from. We'll continue to follow this breaking story. We'll bring you the latest as we learn more on CBS News Boston and on WBZ News starting at 5 p.m. Of course, we want to learn more about how searches are done underwater and the technology being used in the search. And joining us is Christopher Roman, a professor of oceanography at URI, as well as an expert in deep sea robotics. Thank you so much for speaking with us about this rescue. The Coast Guard, Canadian Armed Forces are all working around the clock to try to find this missing submersible. In your opinion, they're saying at this point they think they have about 40 hours of usable air left. Do you think that a rescue is within the realm of possibility at this point?
Well, unfortunately, I would like to be proven wrong, but I'm not super optimistic just because it's a very hard problem. And I think they're pursuing 2 options right now, which is that the sub could be on the surface. So airplanes here are your best asset, flying around, getting a bird's eye view. And a lot of surface ships are, if they're in the area, they're going to that area to assist in the search. So that's great, if in fact the sub is on the surface. If it's on the sea floor, things get a lot more difficult. There are not really efficient ways to survey the sea floor and find it, because first you need to get assets there, which this is 900 miles offshore, so it's taking days to get there. Nothing is happening quickly. And the second is logistically, it's challenging to get other assets to the sea floor to survey, to then come back and then come up with a plan to actually get the submarine off the sea floor.
Right.
So all these things take time and are not easy, is an unfortunate truth.
Let me talk to you about, the Coast Guard had said that C-130s are searching from the air, sonar buoys are in the water. What other technology is available right now that would augment those kinds of pieces of equipment to search? Is there anything new? Is there anything that could really search the ocean floor, or no?
Well, I believe a research vessel is heading there that has a deep-rated autonomous underwater vehicle. So the free-swimming submarine, torpedo-shaped sub, it can survey the seafloor likely acoustically with a side-scan sonar system, so creating kind of a big acoustic photograph, and then likely smaller visual photographs. Unfortunately, an evolution to get that submarine down 4,000 meters to do a survey and then come back is an all-day project, basically. And I don't think that's going to be able to even start until tomorrow.
So this really is a race against the clock, and things are not looking good so far. There's just been nothing. Let me ask you, as an oceanographer, as someone who understands robotics and what all of this takes, obviously there's this fascination with Titanic. But in terms of our exploration of really deep ocean locations, do you think this kind of submersible I don't know, how can I put it? Is it a good idea? You know, or is this something that should be controlled by, you know, the military or governments as opposed to these private companies trying to take tourists down?
Well, so on the one hand, robotic tools, non-man, man-free, no people involved, are basically becoming much more common in oceanography. So we can do a lot exploring with purely robotic systems, and that's the way the future is going. We still operate in the U.S. a scientific sub, the Alvin sub from Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, operated by National Science Foundation and the Navy. It goes through a very rigorous process. It's recertified. It's a top-notch program. I've in fact dove in that sub down to 3,000 meters and felt completely safe doing it because I know the back-end engineering. Once you get outside of that, the regulatory environment for commercial tourist subs is much more wide open. That I'm less familiar with, but I know it's not nearly as strict as some of the other, as the U.S. Navy protocols. So I think that's where the slippery slope can begin. And, I think there's going to be some, depending on how this turns out, I think either way, there's going to be some sort of revamping of those procedures and processes to certify these type of vessels because of the inherent risks. It's an unfriendly environment, and you are putting yourself at risk to go there. So you need to know the risks and you need to engineer for them.
Right. Especially when robotics are available. Well, we certainly all are hoping and praying for their safe recovery, and hopefully there can be a miraculous rescue. Christopher Roman from URI, we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.